My aunt's cooking.
Yeah.
It's the secret to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great story. And we're kind of shooting this more intimate space because the series that we do is kind of like a local version of Oprah's Masterclass. Where we kind of
Right,
focus
I got
more
you.
on your words and all those things and no distraction.
Right. All right. Getting all Ted Koppel up in this joint. Come on.
You went old school on that now. And I'm older than you.
Jordan, you ready for a mic check?
Mic's checked.
Oh, we're good?
Just need before you start recording, you can hold your hands up and just need a slate
I
mark.
need a slate. Okay. Ready.
Perfect. You've done that before.
Professional clapper.
So we're rolling?
We're rolling.
Okay. So these are just a series of questions. We may ask some of them again, just with different sound bites and things like that.
Okay.
But first one is, what drew you to the music industry?
I was always fascinated with recording technology, like when I was a kid. Tape recorders, tape machines, Walkmans. I don't know. I grew up in a musical household, and so it was always around me. There were, always instruments in the house, piano, drums, and, we had the recording studio, obviously, too. So
Okay.
it was just, it was always around me, and I was always fascinated with it.
So we're going to do that one again because I said okay. And secondly,
I didn't repeat the question.
so
Okay,
if
I
could
got you.
restate the question. Okay. What drew you to the music industry?
So, what drew me to the music industry was the fact that I grew up in a musical household. My father, Willie Mitchell, was a famous music producer, owned a recording studio, so the music was always, around. There were always instruments in the house. There was always some kind of recording technology in the house, whether it was a tape machine or a Walkman or a small reel-to-reel recorder. So it was just always in my life, and I was always fascinated with it.
What would you say is your favorite part of the line of work that you do?
I think one of my favorite parts of being a producer and an engineer, it's that moment, I call it when God is in the room, when you have a group of musicians and they're all playing a song, and there's something happens when whatever the take is that's going to be on the record, when that take is happening, when the magic is happening, it's like nothing else, and it's like everybody knows it, everybody's in sync, and you can just, there's a magic that happens when you get a group of people that are doing something in one accord, and when they all sync up together at that moment, it's probably my favorite thing.
What does Black Music Month mean to you?
Black Music Month, Black Music Month means a lot to me. I mean, the contributions that Black music has given to the world, we could do it all year because the roots of all popular music came from the influence of Black music, from the gospel to the blues. Blues beget rock and roll, and blues beget soul, and these things turn into pop. So all your popular music is it's a product of Black music.
Glad I got that after that. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Can we do that one more time?
Sure.
Okay. What does Black Music Month mean to you?
Black Music Month means a lot to me because black music, I mean, we could celebrate it longer than a month, but it's great to have a month to recognize all of the contributions that our music has given to the world, because all of your popular music has a direct lineage from black music, gospel to blues, and then out of blues came rock and roll, and also out of blues came soul, and rock and roll and soul became pop music, and so black music, it's the ancestor of all music.
What advice would you give to someone that were interested in following in your footsteps?
The advice I would give someone that wanted to do what I do, being a producer, engineer, songwriter, first you have to hone your skills, and you got to work as hard as you possibly can, and you must remain humble. The people that I see that are the most successful, they work harder than everybody else. You have to have some talent, but talent with the hard work and humility, that's what breeds success.
Those are great answers. Let me see.
Is that all your questions?
No.
Because I have a question I want
Go
to
ahead.
add that's
Go ahead.
not on your list.
Okay.
Pretend she's asking.
Okay.
As a producer, you have like bands come in. How much of yourself do you end up putting into an album, like from concept to, 'cause it's your mix, it's your recording, but it's their lyrics, their music. So concept-wise, emotional-wise, how much of you ends up into an album?
So when I produce someone, there's a lot of me goes into that production, but I'm not really a heavy-handed producer, so I'll let a band, play their music, and if something needs fixing, then if something's broke, I'll fix it. And it could be anything. It could be a lyric that needs to be changed. It could be, a bass line that needs to be changed. I try to be kind of objective and then identify a problem if there's a problem. Because I tell bands all the time, if they're playing music and I'm checking emails, something's not right. But if they're playing music and I'm up dancing, then it's right.
And just to kind of attack onto that, what do you feel is your strongest strength as a producer? I'm trying to give an audience an idea of what a producer
does.
is. Oh, right. Yeah, I can just say it if you want.
That's fine.
But can we go back to the other question again after this? Go ahead.
A lot of people don't know what a music producer's role is. A music producer is just like a movie director, and that's the most direct relation that you can make. The producer is the one that has to have the vision of what the finished product is going to sound like, and the producer is the one that tells people how to sing, how to play the instruments, and takes the record and makes it better and enhances it and makes it what you hear when you get it on the radio. Is that a good?
I know the feeling. I was getting interviewed in Atlanta one time, and a guy said, "Okay, so for people that don't know what a film director does, explain it." And I went, we stress out a lot. And I said,
Right.
okay, think of like a cook. Like you have all the other ingredients, but the chef's the one that brings it all in and goes, okay, make that with it. So I know the feeling. It's not an easy question to answer.
I wanted to come back to your first question, Jeremy, just because there was like a,
Oh, did I call?
yeah.
Oh,
If we
okay.
could do that one more time.
What was the first question?
Just how much of yourself ends up into it. And I was thinking more like I can tell on days, like if I'm directing a scene and if I feel a little angry that day, it might be a little bit more anger in the scene than I initially thought.
Oh,
So
okay.
overall, like how do you emotionally fit into an album?
Oh, wow.
Or you said something else in you said you're a pretty hands-off producer.
Well, I
You
don't
talk about like
Yeah, I try to.
artistically, what do you hear that you're like, that's it? When you know you hear it, you hear it.
Yeah, I try to work with bands that. I like to work with people that write their own music because I try to get into the artist because that's what it's all about to me. It's about, making this artist the best that they can be. And for me, it's great when they write their own music. So it kind of gives me an idea of where they're coming from than them just singing somebody else's song. And I try to have a vision for the music, but I also try to have a vision for the artist and, how they're going to come across to people.
I think we got a lot.
I think we got a lot.
Yeah, I think we got a lot.
You have anything else, Jeremy? Because he had 2 questions I didn't have, but he
Yeah,
didn't
well,
answer.
we only have so much time in the spot.
Yeah.
And then he has an appointment.
Yes,
notice.
okay.
That's good.
Think we're good?
Yeah, I mean, we got plenty. If you wanted to ask anything else, I would just ask. Only other thing I could think of is, like, how do you get the best out of an artist? How do you probe the artist?
Yeah, I love that. Because a lot of this is about.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but it's about black music now too.
Right, which he already stated.
So when I'm producing, to get the best out of your artist and out of your musicians, you kind of have to be a bit of a psychologist and know what buttons to push, because it takes different buttons for different people, and a lot of what you're doing when you're producing records is you're gauging people's emotional state, their mental state. You're kind of being a psychologist in a way, and you have to get to know the person to get the best out of them. So you have to feel where they're coming from.
All right. Think we got it.